What seemed like a routine questioning session, in just a few minutes transformed into a shocking exposé of the chaos within the British defense apparatus. No more polished diplomatic rhetoric or flowery reports masking failures. Today, layers of masks were torn apart right before the cameras. Robert Lowe didn't ask, he attacked. Each word was a dagger piercing the system he considered rotten, with irresponsibility, asset misappropriation, fraud, and a bureaucratic culture devouring taxpayers' money. And the most shocking moment was when he publicly rejected all justifications of procedures and control mechanisms from the Ministry of Defense. Lost assets. Lost assets? How lost? Tanks disappearing? Secret documents vanishing? Or is that just a euphemism for incompetence and irresponsibility at the highest levels? What made the room so tense wasn't just the allegations of corruption or the misappropriation of billions of pounds. It was the chilling warning behind it. When defense budgets skyrocket to tens of billions, but the bureaucracy remains inefficient, the ultimate payer will be the people and businesses through endless tax increases. And then Robert Lowe delivered the strongest blow. Want to end fraud? Make people afraid of going to jail. This was no longer an administrative debate. It was a declaration of war against an entire culture of power that, according to many, has become accustomed to no one being held accountable.
So, Rupert Lowe, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't quite know where to start. When I look at this report, I don't think this tells you all of the leakage that's taking place. If I was on the end of a report like this, I'd certainly not be complacent. So when I read, some areas of the MOD do not consider fraud to be a major risk and can be reluctant to engage. So I look at this, and I run lots of contracting business, we do lots of procurement, and I just don't think there's any joined-up thinking evident here at all. And you're going to be spending a lot more than you're currently spending. Your whatever it is, 46 billion, is likely to go up to 75 billion. So if these endemic sort of cultural and structural inefficiencies continue, there's going to be more leakage, and therefore more taxes are going to be required on the private sector. So I think this is really very concerning. And I'd like to know, Jeremy, really, how are you going to improve this, and are you going to give it the seriousness that it requires?
I said at the outset of this hearing, Mr. Lowe, that I take this seriously. There's absolutely no room for complacency. It's the heart of my job, the job of everyone on this panel, but the department as well, to make sure that we are maximising the value we get from every pound of taxpayers' spend. That requires the controls in place. It requires
Can I just interrupt you, because you're talking generalities here, so through the report. Theft of assets. Around 2/3 of these reports related to lost assets, with theft making up only 13%. Can you define lost assets, question, personnel and management issues, and information exploitation, failure to follow gifts and hospitality rules, abuse of flexible working time, and deceit and misrepresentation of financial advantage, unlawfully obtaining and disclosing official documentation? I mean, look, this is serious stuff. So please don't talk generalities. What are you practically going to do to sort this out?
There is no disagreement.
These aren't generalities. These are actual events.
There is no disagreement between us on the seriousness and the importance of the issue. I will talk specifically about assets, and then I will talk about the wider strategy to deal with fraud, because there is actually a whole set of different issues that you are raising there. Control of assets is very important in a department like the Ministry.
So what is something lost, when you say lost assets? Most of them are apparently lost. What does that mean? Does anyone get punished for losing an asset? In my business, if somebody loses an asset, if there's no justification for losing it, they have to pay for it.
We record and follow up all lost assets. The process is underpinned by our security control framework, where it happens.
You can have as many risk registers, as many processes, as many sort of analytical tools. In the end, you've got to send people to prison for being dishonest. And that's what you would do. I know we've got issues with the courts who don't punish people properly, but in the end, people have got to fear that when they break the law, when they're deceitful, when they steal, they go to prison. Perhaps you should start by getting your counter-fraud and the police teams to actually trust and work together. And that's your cultural problem. If people don't work together, nothing happens. So look, I think, Jeffrey, I've done my bit for now.
Well, I'd just like to build on that.
The confrontation is over, but its aftershocks have only just begun. For the most frightening thing about this hearing wasn't a few lost assets, a few broken procedures, or a few employees violating regulations. The most frightening thing was the feeling that an entire system has become so accustomed to failure that it's considered normal. One side called for iron discipline, harsh punishment, and criminal prosecution to restore order. The other side continued to talk about processes, strategies, control frameworks, and internal reforms. But the question the public is asking is, will these extensive reports truly prevent corruption, or will they only serve to delay accountability? Rupert Lowe touched on the hottest spot in modern society. People are increasingly losing faith that officials will fix their own systems, and from here, the debate will erupt even more fiercely. To save the state apparatus, does it require drastic reforms or fear of punishment? Can a democracy function on trust when trust is dwindling? Or is it the weakness of the system itself that allows fraud and embezzlement to continue to flourish? This is no longer just a story for the UK Ministry of Defence. This is a debate about the survival of accountability, power, and public trust within the entire Western state apparatus today.